The ad dollars.
Gotta have those. Gotta have
Good morning. What's up, Pastor? Great morning,
Good
everybody.
morning,
Thank you.
gentlemen. How's everybody? Happy Tuesday.
Yes,
Happy
happy Tuesday. Thank you for rocking with us. It's another edition of the Brothers of Legacy broadcast where we talk about men's issues, community issues, and all the issues concerning us, not just as black men, but as men, period. So I appreciate you guys rocking with us each and every morning. There you go, Lisa in the building. Blessings to you, my friend.
What's going on, Lise?
As well, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. And as always, I like to start off and let you know that you need to tag someone that wants to, that may need this information or may just want to get in this conversation. All right. As always, we jump off with the intro. So we'll be right back.
But don't be the meal. When you said that, don't be the meal.
Experience is the best teacher, but truth is the Holy Spirit is the best teacher.
If you can find the straightest path to the queen that you're supposed to be with, I believe in, and she finds her straightest path to you, then I think it gets away from all those, the skeletons in the closet.
We aim for the wrong things.
Right.
We aim to make our children a good husband. We aim to make our children good wives or successful businessmen or whatever. Right. The aim is wrong.
Trending is not happening without curiosity. So what's driving curiosity? You understand? People that are successful, people that are effective in life are people with priorities.
Bam! All right.
People with priorities is what he said. Did y'all catch that? All right.
Yes, a little soundbite just to get you understanding.
He said it on purpose, just like that. He knew
right.
Right.
And so you're doing what you're here for. Oh, so again, we appreciate you guys rocking with us and hanging with us. Today we're talking about a topic that has been discussed and kind of talked about, but we want to go kind of in depth and really talk about the feelings and how we feel about it and the things we know about this topic. And it's about defunding the police, defunding of the police. And at first I had one focus of the possibilities of that. What does that look like? And at first I was thinking it is just getting rid of the police, period. And I'm sure there's some, and maybe some communities that just want to scrub them and try something, try another alternative. But in some situations, you need dudes with guns to handle certain things when they escalate to a level where average civilians can't handle or not trained to handle. But in every situation, you don't need dudes with guns to be rolling in and taking care of certain things. So I kind of wanted to start off with that. So I'm going to talk about a few alternatives that I've seen, and then you guys can kind of jump in and let me know your thoughts. All right. So one of the alternatives to defunding the police is basically taking away some of the jobs that the police have to do, because I've been hearing a lot of reports that pretty much the police have to do every kind of situation, any job that dealing with other people in any level of situation. They are called, from mental health to somebody's walking around, unsure, they always call for the homeless, call for pretty much everything. So if you take some of that funding and apply it to qualified help to help in certain situations where escalation is little to none, then one, you take away the tense situation when you have someone that has a gun that's basically trained to put somebody in handcuffs and trained to throw them, handle situations in that manner. Where if you have someone that can come in with care, and not hot, ready to do something, because of how the call comes out, then it begins to change the situation. Yet we prioritize the money for mental health professionals, and that's one of the things I have down. So the first one is unarmed mediation teams. And that comes with like homeless, or say somebody's homeless and acting a little erratic, instead of bringing, armed police, you have someone that's trained to handle someone that's having a mental health moment or just needs some place to go. and you have a team of people to help with that. And that happens, that job I know is in some major cities and some communities already. So that's one alternative to sending in the cops. Another one, which is kind of controversial now, well, probably been controversial for a long time, is community patrols, where you have like the neighborhood watch,
gentlemen.
Right. So it's that, and it's the Klan, because the Klan used to be like a neighborhood patrol. Okay. But of course, their job was to keep us from even coming through the neighborhood unless we have purpose.
But I guess they were the first neighborhood patrol, looking for slaves who done wandered off the plantation.
Right. But
neighborhood.
No, that wasn't the Klan.
You're absolutely right.
Neighborhood patrol, slave catchers, slave patrol,
the slave patrol,
Right.
I'm pretty sure they're kind of synonymous, though. They probably with some of the same people.
Right. I just don't want to get that confused.
Right.
Yeah. That wasn't assigned to the Klan. The Klan didn't walk around with badges. Police officers, the slave patrol walked around with badges.
Right.
But then when things began to change, the Klan was birthed out.
Right.
Because it was no longer just catch slaves and kill them.
Right.
But people got into the habit of doing that, and they didn't want to stop.
Right.
So police officers would essentially change their uniform and put on their hoods.
Right.
Good morning, V.
Continue doing it.
Right.
Excuse me. So, real quick.
Go ahead.
Let you guys know we live on Instagram. So.
All right.
Hey, Instagram.
You said we're live on Instagram?
Yeah, he got the.
I got my phone.
We got the bootleg version right now. We're working towards the official.
Hey, V, good morning. But yeah, I think when as far as they need to have certain professionals for like mental health, because like for example, with my son Javante, when he gets into a fit, I mean, there was one time we had to call for help for him because he was kind of out of good old bootleg, exactly. And he got this stuff, and so we call for help. We call for the ambulance.
Right.
When we call for the ambulance, somehow the cops there, and almost in full riot gear because they didn't know, but I think they should have something for professionals.
Right.
I can see it. And I'm gonna tell you, like, from a cop's point of view, the reason that happens, what Terry just mentioned, is because 9 times out of 10, ambulances won't go anywhere that's not deemed safe. So 9 times out of 10, police comes in first, assess the situation. Okay, it's safe. Come on in.
We were at church.
But I mean, when you're in Idaho, that might not be that shouldn't be the issue. True.
A chair is still a chair, even when no one's sitting there. It's still a chair.
But a house is not a home.
So
me and Chris got that the other day. Don't start.
So speaking of mental health organizations, I was listening to a podcast whose name I won't mention right now. And he was talking about defunding was a mental health organization called Cahoots. And they are in Eugene, Oregon. And
they had to be out here.
And they've been around since the 70s, but they're a volunteer organization, and they've been handling the mental health situation and crisis, as it arose, as opposed to the police, because they had a significant issue, a real issue with the police handling the mental health in such a harsh fashion, because as we know, when the mental health, when someone is escalating, someone else coming in, their escalation creates more escalation, because you can't, that's not how you can deal with those kind of situations. You have to be trained and understand what you're dealing with. So that's been one of the alternatives that have been pretty popular and has worked for all these years. And now they're working together with the police, in union, so they have an understanding of how to deal with situations and things of that nature. So I think it's a possibility. I think we just need to find the organizations that can handle other situations. So, I think it can cut down on some of the overcompensation of situations or escalating of situations when things are called in. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, can I give my opinion as a black man / former cop?
Yes, that's why you're here.
Don't start with the classes.
My thing is defunding the police isn't the issue. It's never been the issue. The issue, everything that we're talking about, what's going on? Everything that we're talking about, and we're engaging in conversation and we're reacting to, it stems from a bigger problem. And the problem is the same thing that police and sheriff are created for, and that's to enforce the law. They're law enforcement. That's their primary job. Before serve and protect is to enforce the law.
Right.
So the problem comes in when you have the people that are hired to do a set job and they're not held to the same standard. That's the problem. Nobody would be demanding that police departments be defunded if the killers of Sandra Bland was not only fired, or the person that led to her death was not only fired but charged with negligent homicide or some type of something where he's held accountable. The problem comes in when Philando Castilla is going for his concealed carry after he's informing the cop, hey, I have a carry, I'm reaching into my wallet, and then he gets killed in front of his girlfriend and child, and it takes weeks for there to be any action. The problem is when Breonna Taylor comes into her home, is asleep in her bed, and they're serving a warrant, and she ends up dead, and we have a district attorney that's yet to charge anybody formally, and what we're going on 3 months now. Right. I've seen civilians get charged and convicted for less than what we're seeing police officers being put on admin leave for. The problem is not defunding the police department. The problem should be defunding our Congress. The problem should be defunding the Senate, the legislature, because that's where the problem comes in. If you give me free reign to do whatever I want to do, best believe I'm going to do it.
Right.
Because the problem is a lot of officers are inexperienced and scared. Now, I was an old head when I became a cop. I had 4 combat tours when I became a cop. I was a grown man with a family when I became a cop. And when I went through the academy, I'm looking at young boys who still live at home with their mama. Hadn't even had their first legal drink yet. Can't even go to a black neighborhood in Atlanta or anywhere in the metro area and have a friend that they know, but yet they're going to be policing those areas. So I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that there should be a period, like the sheriff department. The sheriff department gets it right to an extent.
Okay.
Because before you get in a patrol car and become, even after you go through the academy, before you get out on the streets and actually patrolling, you're in a jail for at a minimum a year before you can even get in the car.
Gotcha.
And these are the things that we deal with. These are problems with people.
Right.
It's because I'm not going to yell this sentiment, which is absolutely true. I know a lot of great cops. I know absolutely a lot of great cops, but that's not the problem. The great cops aren't the problem. The criminal cops are the problem.
Right.
And we get so caught up in the patriotic aspect of police and military that we can't see wrong when wrong is videotaped and blasted through the airways of social media and everything else. We would rather side with police because we got some good police in our family. We know some good police officers. But the true point is there are several cops that are plain criminals, and they're not held to that standard. If you rob a store, you're going to jail.
Right.
If I rob a store and I got a gun in the badge, there should be no conversing about that.
Right.
It should be a crime. See, here's the thing. Every single state in America has this thing called statutes and codes, right?
Right.
And this is the standard by which a police officer is supposed to enforce a law. For instance, I'll give you one simple. For you to get a breaking and entry in Georgia, I have to be able to prove a couple elements of the crime. One, that you knowingly, without permission, entered somebody's property. That's the first thing.
Right.
The second thing, you have to enter that property with the intention of taking something. So if I pick you up and I can prove those elements, then I can charge you with said crime.
Right.
Same thing with murder and everything else. The standard has always been there. It's simple. It's cut and dry. Anybody can go look at those standards. The problem is, one, we got people enforcing standards that don't know the standards sometimes, too often. And two, we got people who cross the line and break those standards and break those codes and statutes, and then they're not held accountable for it. That's the problem. We need police. We don't need crooked police, and we need to hold them accountable. Period.
Okay. All right. All right.
I know the former cop would have a lot to say about that. So,
what's going on, Dr. C?
Pastor, what you feel about that? I know you said a mouthful.
Yeah, he did, and I love everything my brother said. I appreciate the fact that he's speaking from the perspective of the black and the blue,
right?
Because he is both. I would say that there are some good cops, but good cops are still bad cops when they're complicit and they don't tell on bad cops.
Right. Right.
So just because you're not doing it doesn't mean you're serving the public well.
Right.
Because you ain't telling on the folks that are doing it because of the thin blue line.
Right.
So I wish we had more good cops that would hold bad cops accountable and stop being so complicit.
Right.
Then a good cop is a cop who enforces the law.
Right. All the way around.
Right. So when you say hold cops as accountable as you hold civilians, that message should go to the cops, because if law enforcement would clean up their own house,
right,
we wouldn't have anything to worry about.
Right.
True. But law enforcement won't clean up their own house. So now it's left to the general public to complain. And then the other thing is, we don't need to defund the police. We need to stop making it comfortable for racist white people or racist people in general to think that that's a good place where they can go and hide and reduce the value of black lives or people you feel are less than you.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
I believe that law enforcement it's absolutely necessary. What I don't believe is that it should be a haven for redneck, racist, you know what.
Right.
That's what I believe. We need to stop sending a message to these young, innocent, as you say, children, recruiting them or bringing them in and training them to kill minorities.
Right. Right.
Because that's what it is. It's a recruiting and a training ground for racists.
Right.
You said you went to the military. There are people who go into the military as racists.
Mm-hmm.
And they come out as trained racists.
Right.
And they go into law enforcement.
Right. Right.
So for a lot of them, the military is a training ground.
Right.
For racist cops.
Right. Right.
Right. So if you go back to the history of cops, what I think we need to do is redesign the definition or understanding of what law enforcement really is.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's too much connection to slave patrol.
Right.
In law enforcement, because for whatever reason, you can be born this morning, wait 22 years, and in 22 years believe you belong in law enforcement because you hate black people.
Right.
22 years from now.
Right.
But right now, during the BLM movement and all of that, you can be born this morning.
Right.
Wait 22 years.
Right.
and be raised in a racist environment and believe that the police force was designed for you.
Right.
That's still happening.
True.
That's the problem with law enforcement.
True. So do you believe that? So that what you just said is powerful, because do you believe that's the some of the impact of that is from our perception of what people see us as? Because you have to learn it from somewhere. You don't generally.
Watch this. It's so bad. It's so bad that a black man can get into law enforcement and lose his sense of value for another black man.
Can I speak on that?
Right.
Because he's blue.
Right.
Can I speak on that?
Right.
What you say is, I got neighbors, and they one's black, one's white. So they're both one's about 30, one's in his early 20s. Early 20s is a white male, the 30 is black male. So I get a phone call one night about 11 o'clock. And it was like, hey, Dwayne, I need to ask you some questions. And this is a story. So black guy's driving the car. He makes a turn that's deemed illegal. Okay, they pull him over. He gives his name, date of birth, because he doesn't have his physical driver's license on him.
Okay.
He gives his name, date of birth, and driver's license number. It all comes back, but for whatever reason, they don't have a picture on the system that they use. They put the brother in cuffs.
Wow.
For an illegal turn. Take him, strip search him, run his fingerprints, only to find out he is exactly who he said he was. But let me rewind this. He's 5'5", 125 pounds. He gets pulled over. It's a brother that pulls him over.
Right.
And then a white cop joins.
Right.
And this is how some black cops become brainwashed or try to please everybody else, or what we used to call Uncle Tom, but I hate that term because that wasn't the character of Uncle Tom.
Right.
True. So we got to stop that narrative. But the guy, I came to the store. He's like 6'3", 230, and he's a black sheriff. And then another black sheriff comes along. Doesn't ask what's going on, doesn't know anything about what's happening. And I'm about to quote him, so excuse my language. He said, lock his little black ass up. He need to be locked up. Wow. Don't know what's going on.
Right.
But that's the first thing out of his mouth.
Wow.
And I personally, one of the reasons I became a cop is because I got tired of that narrative.
Right.
I saw good cops, but I also saw cops who tried to please somebody else so much to the point that they forgot who they were and what their experience growing up was.
Right.
And it sickened me. So my suggestion is, what we ought to do as part of this defunding thing, let me give you something to think about, and then you guys can discuss it. Let's talk about Atlanta, since three of us are in the metro Atlanta area.
Right.
When you have we got love for Terry. We got love for Guru. Exactly, Cole, and that's the point. Right. But here's the thing. In Atlanta, let's take Atlanta. I guarantee you that about at least 50% of the cops that work in Atlanta don't live in Atlanta.
Right.
So let me tell you what that causes. One, you got people from outside of Atlanta patrolling Atlanta.
Right.
Now, these are people who may or may not have intimate ties to Atlanta,
right,
or New York, or whatever city you can name. Right.
Right.
So now let's say 200 cops. Let's say 200 cops that work in Atlanta don't live in Atlanta. Right. They take that pay from the city of Atlanta back to Marietta, back to Austell, back to McDonough, everywhere but the community that they're serving. So that's money that the city is no longer even paying and patronizing their own city.
Right.
So you got somebody who don't know you, who don't care about your community, who comes in and patrol it, take the money that the city gives to you and take it back out. I think part of the defunding process should be, we're going to make mandatory 80% of all of our officers are from this city and live in this city.
Right.
And I think you start to change. I think you start to change the narrative to an extent. But I know I've been talking a minute, so.
All right. So, I mean, you're the expert. You're the expert here.
Right. So Terry, what would you say, being a real kind of minority in your area? What was your experience, or what would you say as far as the cop situation for yourself?
For me, it's just it's different out here in Idaho, where it's the ratio here is 97-3 black to white. You know what I'm saying? Anytime a cop comes to my door, they come with guns. Well, they had their hands on their hips at least, when they come here. I just wish my struggle only is for the mental health portion of it, because with Javante and his stuff, and then my son who's 3 autistic, he doesn't respond to certain things. So if something happens, we have a sticker on our truck that says autistic child on board, he may not respond to your commands or what have you. I wish that they would have money set aside for certain mental health professionals to be able to help, like we were discussing about earlier. The cops need to be called for everything, so I wish they would. The cops here, though, they're great. They don't really give me a fit, what I'm saying? But if I go up north to Boise or something like that, then it gets a little tricky. But we're a small town here. But I just wish that they would kind of channel money somewhere else, especially with mental health.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's my thing.
How do you feel about it, Pastor?
No, I love what both. I mean, Terry, you're absolutely right. I think that sometimes when you're such a minority, they don't worry. They're not worried about you. So they're much more laid back because they feel like they have the upper hand anyway.
Yeah. He ain't gonna win.
Yeah. But they have no idea what's inside you.
Right.
They should be. No. But no, I love what Dwayne said, because I saw something about what you're talking about, Dwayne, in Syracuse. And a man was berating his mayor. And he was telling him, we pay taxes, we provide, we pay these salaries, and that money's leaving our city. It's a critical point.
It was, and it was to the tune of like 60 million, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's right. But the thing is, it's like, to you, Mr. or Miss Mayor, how can you subject your city to this? This is happening on your watch, but yet you want to be elected. You want to sit there, and you're not even managing your budget.
Right.
You're sending you're sending money out of the city. So it's a critical. And I wish that more cities would pay attention to that. Right. Because it's more prominent in the New York metropolis than anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so the other piece is that, when it comes to defund, I don't agree with defunding. I do agree with redirecting monies to more community-based projects. I believe that. Right. Hey, New York. I believe that, one of the greatest tragedies or travesties.
Brooklyn, son.
One of the greatest travesties in the inner cities is they took away the parks. They took away the community centers. You used to go on the street and play baseball. And that you don't have that anymore. When the school was shut down, you could go up there and play basketball on the basketball court and all that. Play football on the football field and all of that kind of stuff. Now you get arrested for being out there. And so I think that's the greatest travesty. And I think it was intentionally done. right? Because give children something positive to do, and you reduce crime in your neighborhood. You increase community engagement, community involvement. You could have a lemonade stand.
Right.
A little girl in my hometown had to take a lawsuit all the way up to the Supreme Court. They were suing her because she wasn't licensed to sell lemonade on her front side.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
That's the town I grew up in. That little girl is from Kankakee, Illinois, and she won. And she's making money off of it now. But I thought that was horrible.
Right.
So I believe that defunding is I think it's more reappropriation. I think it's redirection of monies. But I still go back to the underlying problem, and that is we have to create a new foundational understanding of what law enforcement is and what it represents.
Right. I've heard that discussion as well. I think defunding was for shock value. Like we need to do something. Like get rid of it. Get rid of it. Bring us to at least that'll bring everybody to the table to talk about it. Like now we're talking about it because of that strong word defunding. And I definitely believe what Cole Johnson said. Hold on, the first one where he said divesting reallocation of funds should be the way. And he said, think about this: the law enforcement budget for LA is over $1 billion. The police budget.
Why? I wanted to hit that. I did research on that. Most of that budget goes to settling for lawsuits.
Yeah,
wow.
I can imagine.
It's not pay. Right. It's for lawsuits. Right.
And you know why those lawsuits occur? Because you have trigger-happy officers, you have scared officers, you have officers who don't have common sense when it comes to judgment of people and interact. Look, I'm being a cop. I enjoyed it because, at least in my own personal sphere, I got to change the narrative.
Right.
However, it wasn't enough because I was driving a luxury car on my way to work as a police officer. And Dr. C, I know where you're from. I was just messing with you. But I was on my way to work in a luxury car, and I see blue lights behind me. Look, I don't care who you are. When you a black man, I don't care what your job is, how much money you got. When I saw those lights, even though I was in full uniform, I had a vest on, I had a badge on, I had a gun on, I'm still like, oh man, what I get pulled over for? I got nervous and I'm in, I got a badge and a gun on me in uniform, and I got nervous. So for all of you out there that's like, oh, that's just crazy. Look, badge and gun, and I got nervous. And here was the crazy thing. Roll my window down. Cop walks up. He looks at me. It was like, have a nice day. Don't say nothing to me. If it was me and I pulled you over, at a minimum, hey, officer, you know you was doing 52 and that 45 by the school zone there. He was like, look, you know the job. You got to slow down. Now have a nice day. But he looked at me and then he said, have a nice day. What he saw was a black man driving a Porsche in a place where there wasn't many black people. And then he saw the uniform. So
Porsche, nice.
Hey, look, you can get a Porsche for cheap. You can get it for the low. You can get it for the same thing you get for a brand new truck for. But like that was my reality. Yeah. So I come to the conclusion that it's one of these things. You want to invest in something, invest on the front end. They always say ounce of prevention is more than a pound of cure. Change these psyche valve tests that they're using from the 1950s and the 1940s to determine what type of person you are, because every officer has discretion. My discretion was this. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You're right, Cole. My discretion was this. The first question I asked, are you hurting anybody?
Right.
If the answer to that question is no, everything that happened after that was the way me and you, how our interaction went. And I'm trying to take all the tension out of the room already, because I know the tension, because I felt, even with the gun and badge, I felt the tension. So let me, sir, you're being pulled over for this reason. This is why I pulled you over. You ain't got to ask me. I hate when I see cops. I think that some of this defunding, I think there should be some rules put in. Whenever a cop tells a citizen a statute or a code that isn't in fact a statute or a code, I think they need to be fined at a minimum. I think that the first time you get a warning or a fine, the second time you need to be suspended. Third time, take a hike. Because I'm tired of seeing cops telling people that you can't film. There's no law in any state statute or code that says you can't film. There's not. You supposed to tell a person while they're being pulled over. No, none of this. Hold on, ma'am and sir. I'll give me your license and I'll tell you. No, you don't have the right to have my license until you tell me why you're stopping me. Right. Because once you stop my constitutional movement, I am now being detained. And when I'm being detained, you have a right. I mean, you have an obligation to tell me why I am being detained. But we see it every single day. Absolutely. Absolutely. We see it every single day. There's a new video. Oh, well, I can do this. You just failed. You're resisting arrest. Right. Well, what am I? I saw a guy that went to Walmart, bought the bike, rode the bike around that he was going to give to his son. Right. And then get arrested.
Wow. It's a
You had me at hello, man. you lost with the dude on the bicycle.
What
that Negro should have been arrested.
What happened?
What did he do?
I didn't see this one.
At the end of the day, but he should have never been put in the position to be arrested. Is what I'm.
No, he deserved to be arrested for just being dumb.
Okay. What did he do? He's riding a bike around Walmart.
I mean, check the video.
I gotta watch it.
I was angry. Listen, I was angry, and then when I saw the full video that finally was released, I'm like, this
very stupid.
So wait. So I got two things. I got two problems with you. I'm 98% with you, bro. But 1%, that dude, nah. He didn't deserve to be arrested. He deserved to be just smacked upside his head.
Right. And I agree with you there.
Okay.
Now I gotta watch the video.
But right, he didn't deserve to be arrested. But what he just they didn't know what to do, so he just had to arrest him.
Right, because they ended up saying we're arresting you for resisting arrest.
Right.
And then I'm like, he got a receipt.
You gotta see the video. That was ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
I gotta find the
other thing, I'm taking you all the way back to when you opened up and you said you got pulled over in the Porsche. And you gotta help me, man. You said when you came up to the window, did you really roll your window down?
Habit. I'm from the country. I'm from the country town in South Carolina.
I'll say this. How long were you a cop, Dwayne?
At that point, like 2 years.
No. How long did you spend?
A little over 3 years.
3 years. Okay. And you got out.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll say is this. The problem with law enforcement is you didn't last.
All right.
Mm-hmm. That's the problem. Because people who are in there for the right reasons don't last.
Right. Burn out quick.
All right. And so what I'm saying is, if there was ever a message from law enforcement, how is it that somebody with your character, with your integrity, with your belief system only lasts 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to know what's wrong with law enforcement, that's enough right there. You can write a book on that. Why I only lasted 3 years.
Right.
Because everything you said is real.
Dwayne, you need to watch that video again. Just a few minutes to watch.
I gotta watch it.
He was very stupid. He was stupid. He was, well, I'm not even gonna say stupid. There was a lot of issues. He probably was high. From my observation, he probably was high, and there was a lot of things that was not smart about what he did in his interaction. Right. But I say that to the point is, even with all of his stupidity and everything that he did, he didn't do enough to be arrested.
Right.
So I'm not as skilled as my brother Terry, so I would show it, but I'm not sure how to do it yet, so I'm not gonna just do it and get a little lost there. Yeah, it's a long video too, but once you guys watch it,
that I got upset, and I'm like, man, you made me spend all that time mad at these police officers.
when it was him, you know. I'm sorry. No. I was just gonna say I want to jump in on the thing Dwayne said a while back. I feel like I'm backtracking. And I do apologize to the people.
That's my apologies. You right. I just got a big mouth.
He had said something about when the guy that got pulled over and the black cop came and said lock his little black ass up. That part I thought about, and this has been going on for years. I think one of the first movies that I ever saw that made me think about that was Boys in the Hood. If anybody's ever watched Boys in the Hood when Fish shot that kid through the door, and then he was like, "Yeah, these little niggas. I hate these little niggas."
You think you
tough? Yeah, you think you tough?
Right.
I hate the back of your neck. I hate the back of Forrest Whitaker's lips and all that.
I hate Whoopi Goldberg gums.
Stop it.
I mean, but that for me, I feel like it's still going on, and that's my fear for my children. Is that I'll put up on the cop, even though there's not any. I have yet. I think it's one black cop here in Twin, right, babe?
Right.
Yeah, and so it's like, yeah, I don't know, and that's the fear for me. So I always try to teach my kids, but like I said, if we can just stop calling them supervisors, man. If do want defunding the police, stop paying them dudes extra money to come out there and be an instigator. Quit it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm slow. I'm sorry.
I think that the review board for law enforcement should include community leaders and not just law enforcement.
That is
Absolutely.
Yeah. Someone who don't have their hands in it. You know what I mean?
And see this comes back full circle. All of these things that we're talking about, defunding the cops. If we put into law that you have like 80 to 90% of the police officers patrolling a city have to live in that city, you know how much money gets put back into the economy. Right. Then the city itself can afford to have they could afford to have a paid psychiatrist on the police force.
Yeah.
Or not even a police force, but a review board, as you said. They can pay specialists from several different areas that it's not even costing the city extra money. It's just using your money smartly. They say smart money don't make money. Well, when $50 million of your budget is 50 miles away, or 20 miles away in another city, then there's the schools suffer. And when the schools suffer, guess what else suffer? Kids ain't got nothing to do. They ain't got no after school programs. Then a dude that's selling weight up the street say, "Hey, little man, run this for me. I'll give you 20." Or kids want to be loved. They want to be accepted. So they do those things. So like, it's so crazy because all of these things intricately work with each other, but we don't see it because all of that money is leaving the community as soon as that cop leaves. Because they're not buying, even on shift. Like, let me be real. I can't speak for other police departments, but I'm pretty sure that they're similar, if not the same. When I pay for lunch, when I was patrolling, there's only like 3 or 4 places I paid full price.
Wow.
I mean, at Chick-fil-A, I got 75% off. And then I didn't pay for coffee and fountain drinks. Right. So I'm not even paying money to eat in the community that I'm working in. Right. You see that? I mean, granted, for them, it's like, they provide, if we come in and get the sandwiches or the coffee or whatever, for them, it's free security.
Right. That's what I was thinking
cops
too.
Constantly rolling through here. So, I ain't robbing that store tonight. So that's why they do it. Right. But we're not even putting money back into the community, even the community we don't live in.
True.
I mean, so yeah, those are part of the issues that nobody seems to even realize.
Yeah. I mean, I love the aspect of, cops eat free. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. I have zero issue with that. Yeah. I'm just not going to give you a free meal, and then after you eat, you tip me by slamming me against the concrete.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
because I resisted. That's the issue that we have. And again, I love what Michael McNair, Elder, I appreciate that. To whom much is given, much is required. It goes back to the accountability factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
If law enforcement would clean up law enforcement, we wouldn't be having this conversation. There's a reason why. And I'm saying, I know you had family and obligations and all of that, but the deeper reason, because you talked about how much you appreciate and love being a cop. I'm going to go right back to what I said. The fact that you only lasted 3 years speaks volumes. Now I have to question, how can somebody be a cop for 25 years?
Mm-hmm.
Because what have you seen? What have you ignored? How do you last that long if a person, and I'm saying and to your point, there are many police officers who have tremendous character. And just like, I heard Lil Wayne say, he was talking to Skip Bayless. Lil Wayne said, Skip Bayless asked Lil Wayne on the talk show one day, on the sports talk show, he said, what is your position when it comes to racism in America, or law enforcement in America? Lil Wayne said, well, Skip,
Right.
they really don't want to know what I got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I never, ever experienced racism in my life.
Now,
Yeah, I'm young, black, and rich.
right, you've been rapping since you was 13. But here's the thing. The problem that I have with that statement is that it could be true.
Right.
But you have family.
Right.
You understand? You got brothers, sisters, uncles, aunties, cousins, so you can't sit on this platform and say you've never experienced it. That's a lie. You understand? And the problem that we have in law enforcement is cognitive dissonance.
Right.
You want to act like it's not there when the evidence proves otherwise.
Right. True.
We all these years later. I mean, if you go back 10 years, this is the topic. Mm-hmm. You go back 20 years, this is the topic. You go back 60 years, this is the topic.
Right.
So the fact that we're having this conversation, and then I'm not supposed to talk like this because I'm a pastor, right? People get mad at me. Well, I'm supposed. Well, the Lord, 1 Peter 2:2-9 says, "Oh, no, wait, I'm a brother trying to live,
feeding your flock,
and trying to keep my family on this earth as long as I possibly can."
And addressing the needs of your flock.
Right.
Yeah. I'm okay with getting a speeding ticket, but it shouldn't cost me my life.
Right. True.
Right. And what I'm saying is, we're still having this conversation. And here's my biggest problem. We're having this conversation, and as a black group of people, and there are people in our community who are saying that ain't the reality. Right?
True.
So you're giving credence to the system that is jacked up and doesn't serve us well.
Right.
You hear me?
Right.
So, Misty, hold the scriptures and find in the scripture that what I'm talking about makes me less saved.
Right.
You're not gonna find it.
Find in the scripture that what I'm talking about disqualifies me as a pastor when I'm supposed to be shepherding and covering a flock of people and trying to get to heaven.
Right.
So blacks need to stop killing blacks. Miss me with not all cops are bad. Miss me with all the I'm not because it is. Fred Sanford, when he was 40 years old, was making jokes about this stuff.
Right. Right.
And we're still talking about it?
Still talking about it.
He is
Still
like-
talking about it. Yes.
Come on, man.
Decade and some change later.
And
Yes.
it's a debate?
Right. I wish I can insert again. right. So listen. We're running. I want to thank you guys for rocking with us. This is definitely like a part one to a long conversation. As always, we like to take the conversation to the next level. So we appreciate you guys rocking with us. Make sure you share, make sure you tag. And Terry has something to say.
Hey, today is Tuesday, correct?
Yes, indeed.
What go down tonight?
It is Bible study tonight.
At Solomon Temple.
They
Pastor McCrory.
don't want to hear what I got to say, man.
Say it loud.
And he got a whole half hour, 45 minutes of his own to speak. So it's going down.
And we should start a series here at Brothers of Legacy. Lord Jesus, man, take that down. What are you doing? But we should start a whole Miss Me series.
I like that.
I like that, right? A whole Miss Me
because I was wanting to say some stuff, but I got to shut up.
I think we should do that because people need to understand.
Right.
And Pastor Brian is one of those people. He's gonna tell you right quick. Miss me with that nonsense. Miss me with that. So I think we should start that up. AD, we need to get in conference and talk about that. Maybe start that next week.
That'd be cool.
Oh yeah. Why before y'all go, Terry and AD, y'all need to get with Dr. C. See, Dr. C.
Yes.
She's I think she's still a professor, but she does African studies and like
okay.
You want to go deep into some stuff like or roots versus where we are now.
Right.
She's a person so I'm gonna hook y'all up. I'm gonna find a way to hook y'all up or something. But yeah, she definitely, I know the brothers who talk, you would definitely get value out of like she charged for some of the knowledge she dropped. So that's how prolific she is.
I'm with it.
Dr. C, 2010.
Yes. All right. So we shutting it down. I apologize. My phone. All right. I'm not frozen. Let me get out of here before I freeze. All right. All right, guys. So you guys be blessed. Know that Brothers Legacy love you, but God loves you more. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for rocking with us. Make sure you come on tomorrow because it's going to get deeper and deeper. Yeah. All right. So take care, guys. Be blessed. Keep pushing. Keep growing. Later. Oh, didn't hit it.